Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, We're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Adi Leela. chapter 4, confidential reasons for the Lord's appearance. Today, text, which text? 20. Okay. So, any points from last discussion? Anyone remembering anything? Last Wednesday, what was going on?
Last Wednesday.
Okay, last.
Was the disappearance day of Bhakti Vinod.
Okay.
So he mentioned that it was difficult, the efforts he put in. There were many sampradayas, so even he had to struggle to get a copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we should value what precious thing we have and not take it for granted.
Okay. So we mentioned contribution of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in terms of propagating this process that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us. Okay. Anything else?
We can't value what we have. Like, give example of how someone wins lottery. So he uses all his money in useless things. He cannot.
Okay. We don't value what we get. Well, we don't value what is. We don't know the real utility of something that we might even possess. So in that sense, we have to be very cautious about Krishna consciousness. We have to be very clear what Krishna consciousness means and how much fortunate we really are to be exposed to this process. That's what we have to be very grateful towards. Okay. Because it's amazing. Just yesterday I received one documentary on someone who is apparently talking about some spiritual life in India. It's very popular and it's a certain foundation and so many people are taking part in those kind of activities. But that person is directly challenging God, saying that he's even greater than the God. And even if God would come and then he would defeat him. I mean, how somebody can be such an idiot? I'm sorry. It's inconceivable. It's inconceivable. And how can somebody be so much even more, foolish to follow somebody like this? How can anyone make such a statement? So that's really the highest peak of ignorance and envy towards God. And this is why we are all here in this material world, and this is why we really don't want to practice what Krishna wants us to practice. Because we need then someone to encourage us on this sinful path, actually, of materialism, to justify our sinfulness. And that's why, of course, this is why it's very popular. Somebody to encourage us. Yes, you're doing very nice. So we are really so fortunate to know what the standard is, to know what the spiritual process is, to know what the real goal of life is, to know what it means to be free from lust, anger, greed, envy, madness, illusion. That's enlightenment. Yeah. And then even more than that, knowing who Krishna is and developing relationships. So we are so fortunate. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. But because people are not interested in the absolute, they're interested how they would become the absolute. And that's why they have no idea what the standards are. That's why they don't read the scriptures. Because that very person proclaims that scriptures are irrelevant, they're not important, and he writes so many bogus, books of his own, which are, anyway, absolute gibberish. So it's just so inconceivable how people want, like Srila Prabhupada said, cheaters and the cheated. That's all. Somebody wants to be cheated, and Krishna will send some cheater to guide him even further into darkness of ignorance. But if we are sincere and Krishna is in everyone's heart, then we will be guided towards something that is pure, something that is absolute. So that's why we shouldn't take for granted this process that we have been given. It's an amazing process. It's such a wonderful process. It gives us everything practically. But we have to find some, or we have to make some time, we have to make some effort to utilize that process and to know more about the process. Then we will see how beneficial, how wonderful that process is, and what are the results of the process. Okay, what else? Anything else we discussed last time? Yes?
So in whatever method the devotee acts and Krishna reciprocates in that same particular.
Okay, Krishna reciprocates to different mellows, yes. Krishna appears in different forms. Anything else?
You have to do Nishkar Karma.
Why?
It's doing devotional service without having any expectation of any result.
But why we have to do this? Performing devotional service without any expectations.
Because that's in the mood of goodness.
But are we aiming at more of goodness?
So we are aiming for even higher than that.
So then?
We discuss this.
Okay, so we discussed it. At least maybe that can be a step towards Shuddha Sattva, huh?
Yes.
Okay, yes, anything else?
If we worship Krishna with awe and reverence, then we cannot control him. Like Krishna then himself says,
Was that last time or before?
last, because this shloka 18 and 19 verse include Krishna.
Okay.
And you also talked about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how he was selfless, that's why he was able to do so much. To
Okay.
revive this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement
Mhm.
in temple and sending that book, teachings of Lord Chaitanya in every library now.
I didn't say that. That you're adding now.
He said that about that book, teachings of Chaitanya.
Really? Anyway, the answer is correct, but that wasn't the question. That's like this. Okay, fine. I mean the second part. Okay, so let's read the text 20. And this is Bhagavad Gita now. What is Bhagavad Gita doing in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita? We'll find out. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mamavartmanuvartante manushya partha sarvashaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In whatever way my devotees surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Purport. In the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna affirms that formerly, some 120 million years before the battle of Kurukshetra, he explained the mystic philosophy of the Gita to the sun god. The message was received through the chain of disciplic succession, but in the course of time, the chain being broken somewhere or other, Lord Shri Krishna appeared again and taught Arjuna the truths of Bhagavad Gita. At that time, the Lord spoke this verse to his friend Arjuna. Okay. So this is explanation of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, how Krishna reciprocates. If we want to cheat Krishna, that's like I said at the beginning of this discussion. If we want to cheat Krishna, Krishna will cheat us. And that's another thing he said in Bhagavad Gita. Of the cheaters, I'm the cheat. How can we cheat Krishna? How can we trick Krishna? Do we know any instances who tried to cheat Krishna? Can you think a little bit? Any examples? Who was trying to trick Krishna? Or even someone who was trying to trick Krishna's devotees. And what happened? Think. Huh? Anyone?
Are you referring to the Nayar incident?
No, not necessary. Let's focus on Krishna first. We may talk about devotees also, Srila Prabhupada, that's okay. But let's focus on Krishna. Any incident or any pastime where somebody was trying to exploit Krishna. Is that a hand up or no? Yes. Pandrak. What did Pandrak do? He was trying to cheat Krishna that Krishna is not Krishna. That's what he was trying to do. And then what happened to him? No. Maybe later. Maybe later. No, Krishna chopped his head off. He was having 4 different arms. What about, when we talk about cheating, it wasn't Krishna, it was Balaram. Balaram was playing dice. Of course, Yudhishthira Maharaj. So if you know in Krishna book, there's a story of Rukmini. Yes. And there was one king, Kalinga, was showing his teeth and laughing, But they were cheating. They were obviously cheating. And Balaram exposed them. He said they were cheating in the playing of the dice. And then because he was showing his teeth, Balaram took his plow and just smashed his teeth. He got real heavy smash. Balaram was really heavy. That was straight cheating. Of course, Yudhishthira Maharaj has been cheated. But later on, Krishna gave him everything. And those who were cheating, they end up with nothing. That's also. Anyway, the idea is we can't cheat Krishna. We can think maybe of this and that and try to get some benefit and try to bribe Krishna in so many ways or whatever it might be. But Krishna is straight just next to us. He's there within the heart, no? So then how can we cheat Krishna? How can we cheat Krishna? So that's very important to be very honest in the spiritual life. Like many times people come and practice spiritual life, but they have different kinds of motives, ulterior motives, different kinds of desires, and they're not honest and sincere. There was one story, it was a funny story, there was one thief, and then that happens often. Many times there is a big festival, they say, like in Jagannath Puri, there is Ratha Yatra. So out of so many thousands of people, there will be also many thousands of people who are pickpocketing. They're like big crowds, they will also gather. You have to be careful. What to speak, like we have here so many issues with the chapels. Be careful where you keep your chapels, it's like, or something. Yeah. There's always somebody somewhere. So there was one thief, and then somehow he was thinking, I will take someone's bag. And he came in association with some devotees. But somehow devotees were always requiring something from their bags and this, and so they were always, somehow it was always with them. And then they also went to for yatra. They were traveling, and then this fellow was at night, I was thinking, when will I be able to take someone's bag? And then somehow he couldn't manage it. Some days passed. He still couldn't manage to take anyone's bag. And then in that association, then what he did, he slowly became purified. Slowly became purified. Because he saw devotees are nice people, and they always chant, and that chanting, and slowly just kind of became pure. But still he had that propensity. So then what he did, he took one bag, kept it in some other place. And then he took another bag, he kept it somewhere else. So just imagine, he would have been sleeping in this hole. So that's why he would take from one side to another side, and we just mixed up everything, and then he went to sleep. And then in the morning, everybody, where's my stuff? Where's my bag? It's like they couldn't find. So he became devotee ultimately. He became devotee. So that's the power of very pure association, very pure association. Somehow he had that propensity. There was one story. It's kind of a little interesting story, funny story. I think some Sankirtan devotees were telling in Poland there were two brothers. They were professional robbers. They were professional robbers. They would go into someone's house, break into someone's house and steal something. And then once it so happened, they just enter some house and then that person just arrived, immediately kind of arrived, and they understood that there's nothing we can do. We have to get out immediately. And then somehow or other one thought, let us take something at least, what's the point? Something quickly, and there was Bhagavad Gita on the table. And they took that Bhagavad Gita. And then one of them started reading and both of them became devotees. So even like this, of the cheaters, I'm the cheat. We try. Krishna tricks everybody. It doesn't matter what it is and who one might be. So even if it doesn't happen in this life, it will happen. Eventually it will happen. Eventually everybody's going to go back home together. But the point is, when we're going to develop some attraction towards Krishna? That is the question. Because it might take billions of lifetimes. So why waiting that much? So that's the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's given us this most powerful process of chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, to purify our heart. Purify our heart from all these sinful propensities. It's an incredibly powerful process. Anyone exposed to such a process cannot but become purified, eventually. Now, when and how much? Well, that depends on us, and that depends on Krishna's mercy. That depends on the devotee's mercy. So Krishna will somehow or other make the arrangement to bring us back where we originally belong. So even though we might be having some negative propensities, again, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that will become purified. If we allow ourselves to be exposed to this process of chanting of Maha Mantra. Because even there's nobody in this universe that doesn't qualify to return to the spiritual world. Everybody. Again, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. Even the greatest demons, like we know, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, whatever, Shishupal, whichever pastime, they're supposed to be the greatest. They're actually the greatest devotees of Krishna. Everybody's a devotee of Krishna. But just we don't want to know about it, or we don't know about it yet. Everybody's a devotee of Krishna. And that's not easy to comprehend, that's not easy to understand. But that's a fact. Everybody here is a devotee of Krishna. There's nothing like eternal hell and eternal heaven or something. There's nothing like that. None of this is eternal. They're temporary. But what is eternal? That spirit soul is eternal, and eternally we are servants of Krishna. But then temporarily we just somehow want to forget about that. We don't want to remember this. So that's when Krishna is also giving us a chance. Okay, fine. Explore this material creation. Explore, but then we see where that leads us toward. Not overly exciting. It's not overly exciting to deal with adhyatmik, adibhautik, adidaivik pleasures. It's not overly exciting. So then finally, hopefully, like Krishna is pointing out, whenever my devotee surrenders that to me, I reward them accordingly. So as much as we approach towards him, and Krishna reveals himself. And ultimately, everybody follows my path. We cannot say, I don't follow Krishna's path, because even when we do that, we still follow Krishna's path. We still have to get old, we still have to get disease, we still have to die, we will still have to take birth again. That's Krishna's path. That's Krishna's path. Can we, we are still under influence of the time, we are still under influence of karma. That's Krishna's path. That's interesting. Nobody can say, I don't want to follow Krishna. Okay, you don't want to. You may say whatever you want to say. It doesn't matter. You're still following. You're subjected to the laws of the material nature. But it's better to become so willingly with understanding and use it for your own best interest rather than to being forced. Like Srila Prabhupada said, yes, everybody dies, but there is a difference. What is the difference? The difference is like a cat carrying kitten, no? A kitten feels warm, cuddling teeth of a mother, no? But the same cat with the same teeth will carry the rat, but what does the rat feel? The blows of death. That's it. Everybody follows my path. But how you want to experience that path, that's up to you. How do you want to be, how do you want to experience Krishna's laws of nature in an impersonal way, in a punishing way, in a suffering way, or we better, experience Krishna in a loving way? And then keep on surrendering. As much as we surrender, Krishna rewards, Krishna responds accordingly. So everybody has some kind of relationship. This is what we discussed last time, like it has been said. There is a particular mellow, transcendental mellow that we approach Krishna, and then Krishna responds in different rasas. There are 5 primary and there are 7 secondary. And there are some mixtures between them. Those which could be mixed. Otherwise, not all of them could be mixed, and then it becomes rasabhasa. And that rasabhasa only happens in the material world. Anybody knows those other 7 secondary rasas? There are 5 primary. Everybody knows 5 primary? Who doesn't know 5 primary rasas? Who doesn't know? Everybody knows? I mean, if you don't know, better raise your hand and we'll explain those. You don't know? Okay. Shiva, Bola, what are 5 primary rasas? Shanta rasa. What does that mean, Shanta? Tell fast. Okay. Anyway. Yes. What?
He also doesn't know. He's still raising
Oh,
his
okay.
hand.
I thought you know. Okay. Shanta means awe and reverence, no? Approaching God like, with a lot of respect, a lot of, like, kind of more fatherly kind of relationship, or servant and master, in subordination. That's Shanta. Then Dasya, like Hanuman, in servitorship, serving, that kind of relationship. Then Sakya, friendship, no? Vatsalya means parenthood, parental. And Madhurya, it's conjugal, the last one, considered the highest because it includes all the other lower ones. It includes the mellows of all the others as well. But it's the most intimate, most intense. And then there are 7 secondary, which can sometimes be mixed with those 5 primary ones. Like one, it's wonder. When it's in wonder, what is going on? Then another one, it's laughing, like some kind of funny, comical rasa. Hasya, yes, that's hasya. Adbhuta, hasya. Then another one is ghora, ghastly, like Nrsimhadev, when it comes, like some. It's a rasa. It's in, like in chivalry is another one. But that's also like some competition, some kind of exchange, fighting. Maybe. That's what else is there?
Robber.
What?
Robber.
I don't know.
Angry.
Angry. Anger.
Yes, I think I have heard.
Maybe. What else? Nectar of Devotion talks about it. What are 7 secondary? Let's check it out fast. So some of them can be enhancing the major 5 rasas, but there shouldn't be any mixtures. Like in the material world, somebody cheats you and he says, I'm your friend and everything is nice. And then you think, yes, this is nice. I said, so what is this? There's nothing like this. You know, so things don't mix like that. You know, there's nothing like a mixture of ghastliness and then some kind of friendliness or something or whatever. You know, it's only in the material world there are all these different kinds of inappropriate combinations. But in the spiritual world, there are appropriate combinations. Yes.
It's showing anger of Krishna, wondering Krishna, making comedy, chivalry, merciful relation,
Okay, merciful relationship. We missed that.
dread, greatly feared, dreadful, and
Okay.
seventh is ghastliness,
Yeah. So
shock.
okay, so shock. Okay. So that's a little more in a negative sense. But these are all spiritual mellows. These are all spiritual mellows. So in the spiritual world, everything is positive. So like this, whenever we, and in whichever way we surrender to Krishna, then Krishna responds accordingly. So if we want to cheat Krishna, Krishna will cheat us. Yeah. But he will cheat us in a way that we learn some lessons. We will definitely learn some lessons. Now it might be very purifying, that might happen also. But it depends. It depends on our attitude. It really depends on our attitude. Like there was one, it depends what we want. Like we hear that story here in Hare Krishna land. There was one cook who was a very good cook, came from Bengal. And he won the hearts of devotees. He was cooking very nicely. But then after some time, then he stole a large amount of money and ran away. And devotees were very upset and disturbed and everything. Prabhupada said, there's no need to become disturbed. Krishna had sent him here, just, to fulfill his desire to go to heaven. Heavy. But that's what it is. Krishna fulfills everyone's desires. So one has to be very, 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 at least clear what to expect when one deals with the spiritual process. You can never outsmart Krishna, that is there. And no matter what happens, Krishna will somehow or other purify us, and Krishna will somehow or other teach us really strong lessons. So, but it's better, as I said, it's better we learn those lessons willingly, rather than in the harder way. Better to approach Krishna, like sometimes people think, yes, if I'm a demon, no, that's the best one. I will fight with Krishna and Krishna will chop me off and then I will go to spiritual world. If I'm a demon. But what if you're a demon and Krishna doesn't come and he sends someone else? Then you want to go to the spiritual world and who knows what will happen. So better not to be a demon. Better to surrender to Krishna in a love and devotion. Better to become a devotee. Yeah. So we shouldn't calculate like this. Like cheating business. That's a good one. Like that story in Vrindavan. Who went to Vrindavan last week? Only one person. Okay. So in Vrindavan, in front of our Krishna Balaram temple, there was one Nimbu stall, Nimbu juice, Nimbu pani. And that was some years back. And there was that one Gunda. He was doing all kinds of things with different properties, this and that, all kinds of scheming and this and that. But he was somewhat pious and he was worshipping Krishna. And he thought, whatever happens, I'm still here in Vrindavan. Whoever leaves the body in Vrindavan goes back to Krishna, no? So he was calculating like this. But then he got in some heavy dispute and he was shot. And then in Vrindavan, that time also, I don't know how it's now, 20 years, 30 years ago, I was hospital, they said, we can't handle this, send him to Delhi. So they sent him to Delhi and he died in Delhi. So you can't cheat Krishna. You can't cheat Krishna. Krishna will outsmart you somehow or other. You have to To go to Krishna, you have to learn how to love Krishna. There's no mechanical process or some other way to reach, like Ravana wanted to build a staircase or something. That there's nothing like this. You want to go to Krishna, you have to learn how to love Krishna. There's no other.
फोन रख दीजिए तब तक कहाँ पे
If you want love, then you dance. Yeah, that's fun. But then smoke Krishna, then Krishna started dancing. And then they would get one louder. Then they were encouraging him. Okay, Krishna, you dance. Krishna was dancing. So he would get more louder like this. So Krishna becomes subordinate. And then the Baba would say, bring my chapel. And stop. Keep chop, and then we'll go left and right, we'll stumble here and there. So him wouldn't touch us. And then everybody was enjoying all this stuff. Of course, Krishna can be. He plays the role of subordination. Why? Because it's an exchange of love. And his source of the source of everything and everyone, but still, because of that love, he agrees to become subordinate. Because he has full trust. What happens in relationship when you don't have trust in someone you're dealing with? What happens in those kind of relations? They're not such a functional relationships. No? It becomes very difficult. Yeah. Often now we read all kinds of news how people think of different lives and cheat on each other, and so many different things happen. Anyway, it's just very disgusting. But there's no trust, and how there can be? How there can be? Because everybody is selfishly motivated. But in Krishna Bhakti, there is no selfish motivation. It's all just selfless service towards Krishna. And that's where Krishna allows himself to become subordinate and fully surrenders, fully, because he knows that his mother Yashoda, his father Nanda Baba, and all the other gopis and gopas, they're attachment towards Krishna, emotional attachment towards Krishna. There's a story in Krishna book, of course, in Srimad Bhagavatam about Kaliya, when Kaliya gripped Krishna in his coils. And all the residents of Vrindavan were there on the bank of Yamuna, seeing Krishna being caught by Kaliya, like this. Imagine a gigantic snake, and Krishna is just caught by that snake, about to be, practically pulled down in the water. And then they told Krishna it's finished, and they fainted. They couldn't think of it. Their only life and soul was to Krishna. Without Krishna, their life didn't have any meaning, no purpose, nothing. They were just so completely attached towards Krishna. So that's what Srila Prabhupada explains in the purports, in that pastime, how attached the Brajavasis were towards Krishna. But without Krishna, nothing had any meaning. And of course, in the material world, we have so many other emotional attachments. We attach to this. Like somebody loses mobile, just imagine how much sorrow and suffering there would be, so much attachment. It's like, how long, that suffering would be going. And we have so many other attachments. Where is our attachment to Krishna? What to speak of attachment towards this body and so many other things in relationship to the body. But if we become attached to Krishna, that's transcendental. And that kind of emotion, that kind of experience, that's something that's fully satiating and fulfilling, satisfying. Because it's spiritual. Because Krishna is everything. And because our relationship with Krishna, it's what we're all looking for. So that's why Krishna, understanding and feeling that somebody is fully surrendered and it's fully sacrificing for me, then Krishna surrenders himself. When he senses and perceives that purity of the heart and desire to just do everything for Krishna, then Krishna allows himself to become subordinate like this. Only in those cases. Otherwise, no. Why would he? Saying, would we surrender to someone and allow someone to just pull us around and cheat us and exploit us and whatever? No, which foolish person? I mean, of course, there are some foolish persons. I don't know. So that's what's required. So if one cherishes pure loving devotion to me, that doesn't mean loving devotion towards anything of this material, towards me. Then Krishna, then that exchange becomes just so sweet, so inconceivable. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 3 kinds of devotional service are described, namely bhakti, ordinary devotional service. Then we have Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service, and Vidha Bhakti, mixed devotional service. Okay, so let's see. Yeah. When devotional service is executed with some material purpose, involving fruitive activities, mental speculations, or mystic yoga, it is called mixed or adulterated devotional service. Besides Bhakti Yoga, the Bhagavad Gita also describes Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. Yoga means linking with the Supreme Lord, which is possible only through devotion. Fruitive activities ending in devotional service, philosophical speculation ending in devotional service, and the practice of mysticism ending in devotional service are known respectively as Karma, Jnana, and Dhyana Yoga. But such devotional service is adulterated by the 3 kinds of material activities. So there is some motive initially. There is some attachment towards the process. And there is some desire to perform certain activities in relationship to our condition. But it ends ultimately in devotion. So that's good. But it's it's somewhat mixed. It's adulterated. And then the second one, that was bhakti. So then there is grossly engaged in identifying the body itself by its activity or karma yoga is recommended. For those who identify the mind in itself, philosophical speculation, jnana is recommended. But devotees standing on the spiritual platform have no need of such material conceptions of adulterated devotion. Adulterated devotion service does not directly aim for love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, service performed strictly in conformity with the revealed scripture is better than such Vida Bhakti, because it is free from all kinds of material contamination. It is executed in Krishna consciousness solely to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Vida Bhakti, those who are spontaneously devoted to the Lord and have no aims for material gain are called attractive devotees. They're spontaneously attracted to the service of the Lord, and they follow in the footsteps of such realized souls. Their pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, manifested from pure love of Godhead, surpasses the regulative principles of the authoritative scriptures. Sometimes loving ecstasy transcends regulative principles. Like sometimes Krishna also, that's what Krishna does. So there's some regulative principles. Krishna would hold, like I said, ladus and whatever, and he would dance, or when he would be out in forest with coward boys and so, he would eat even with the left hand, like this. And that's why Brahma was confused. This is Narayan, Supreme Personality of Godhead. How Krishna is doing so many funny things, He's eating with the left hand, and then he washed his hand, it just goes around and everything. So there are no regulative principles. It's just ultimate spiritual ecstasy. So sometimes loving ecstasy transcends regulative principles. Such ecstasy, however, is completely on the spiritual platform, cannot be imitated. Okay, so that's not for us. We can't imitate it. We should, definitely. The regulative principles help ordinary devotees rise to the stage of perfect love of Godhead. Pure love for Krishna is the perfection of pure devotion, and pure devotional service is identical with spontaneous devotional service. I told, that story when that lady was mixing khichdi? I said that. Anybody remember?
Yes.
Really? Okay. So there were no consideration of regulative principles at that time. She was dhatu, chewing like and then doing the same thing. Anyway. So flawless execution of regulative principles is exhibited in the Vaikuntha planets. So that's a big subject here. The point is, if somebody is more attached to rules and regulations than to Krishna, then one will end up in Vaikuntha. One won't go to Goloka. Krishna will break all the rules. For him, rules are not important at all. For him, rasa is more important. Tattva is not that important. Rules are not so important. The exchange with the devotees, that's what's important for Krishna. So if there is somebody who's more attached, no, it should be, now Krishna should have washed his hand and should not touch anything with left hand. And this and that. If somebody is more attached to this, then he may have devotion towards Krishna, but then he won't end up in Goloka Vrindavan. If that's more important to them, which is fine, that's okay, but that's why that's the realm of the spiritual existence for those who are more attached to principles, spiritual principles. There are spiritual principles, but Krishna doesn't necessarily follow those. So for those who are more attached to Krishna and they don't care what Krishna does, then that's what Goloka Vrindavan is about. So flawless execution of regulative principle is exhibited in Vaikuntha planets. By strictly executing these principles, one can be elevated to Vaikuntha planets. But spontaneous, pure loving service is found in Krishna Loka alone. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? And I have to remind those who are here for the first time. Some of those discussions here I know might be very philosophical and deep, but this is what Chaitanya Charitamrita class is all about. I'm trying to, we're not going as deep or as intricate or very philosophically into it. That's to keep that flow, keep some basic understanding. So that's what you can expect in these discussions. But yes, we're trying to simplify those as much as possible, just to have some basic philosophy covered in a simplified manner as much as we can. Okay, any comments or questions? Yes. So so definitely then therefore if some terminology here, like we mentioned so many things now, karma, jnana, dhyana, vaikuntha, if something is not clear, then please you may raise your hand and then we can try to explain. Yes.
Can we compare the dasans also like parental and sensual? We see that Shalamiya and Nava has parental, but the Gopi had sensual. Can we compare it?
Compare it to what?
Each other.
With each other.
Parental and sensual.
How we can compare it? We can compare it only in a way that parental is present in wonderful also. There is that certain caring and certain nourishment and certain protection that is found in Madhurya also. Only in that sense you can compare. But not the other way around.
We say that only in Madhurya is the.
It's predominant and everything revolves around Madhurya. That's the point. And everything is connected in some way, directly or indirectly to Madhurya. That's the point of Raja. No, it's not the same, but it's connected. And Madhurya is prevalent. That's the primary rasa. Yeah, Krishna has covered this one. Because that's what also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other devotees have been using those slokas. And they were discussing among each other. So that's why he's using those slokas. Because they're the basics. And then on those basics, then Krishna Kaviraj explains how did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how did the devotees act. What was their understanding and implementation of all these teachings from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? So he gives you foundation and he gives you and elaborates upon the foundation, gives you practical manifestation of those verses. Yes.
Those lessons from Madhurya and Satya. So, and if someone misses this 10,000 years, but he came into touch with this form, then he was not able to like God. Then again he will come here, Sarna and whatever. But then
It depends why somebody would miss. Why somebody would miss. That means then he is not belonging to that particular either rasa or that particular realm of spiritual existence. It depends. Maybe that contact with ISKCON or something just serves certain purification and then certain other direction will be given or that person would be guided towards. It depends. It's not necessary that everybody has to who comes in touch. Many times, where did our spiritual journey begin? 1 second. Where did our spiritual journey begin? It's not necessarily always with, mostly it began at home here in India for most of you, right? It's not with ISKCON or something, it doesn't matter. So different spiritual processes, bona fide processes, they also serve certain level to bring us to certain level of advancement in spiritual life. And then later on it crystallizes, it becomes more clear as one advances, becomes more pure, that goal is and what that goal is. Okay. Okay, last one. Yes. Yes, that's definitely liberation. But